HyperSpace, Pirates of Atira, a brand new space game being created by developer Philip Koulianos. Now this is a rather interesting one. It's in alpha at the moment, and this alpha is freely available to anyone who wants to download it. All the information and links are available in the video description, so do go have a look if you want to check it out for yourself. Now the dynamics here in this game are pretty interesting. The idea is to create a multiplayer co-op game. Basically, the large and massive spaceships that you can see here are freely pilotable, but they require more than one crew member to actually pilot them. So you have a pilot, you have an engineer, and all the rest of the roles. And these players will work together in order to achieve set objectives. Now before I go on and talk about the game itself, the footage here is from the developer's video that was released a little while ago. I'm still actually having a look through the software myself, but wanted to really get this out there before I did that. I wanted to make as many people aware as possible of this because it does look rather fantastic, so yeah. Now, there's not a lot of information, in fact there's no information on how this will ultimately be released. I'm not sure whether it's going to go onto Steam or whether it's going to be available on any other platform. For now, it seems the primary intent is to get a working build of this game out there into people's hands so the developer can get feedback. And do keep in mind, and this is rather interesting, that the developer is working on this completely on their own. All the assets, all the art, all the code is being built by a single developer, so pretty impressive. Now there's going to be a number of game modes, and it seems the primary one is a story-based mode. From here, players will take on the role of pirates and get themselves caught up in a bit of a pickle by stealing some rather valuable cargo. Now the campaign will be told in a comic book format. That's how the cutscenes will be portrayed as it furthers the story. And in fact, the game's website points to the original Max Payne games as inspiration for how this will actually take place, and there's a screenshot on screen right now which will give examples of how this will work. There's also going to be a free roam mode which will enable players to effectively create their own adventures as they wander around and explore the game's environments. Now, in addition to having third-person control over your ship, a huge portion of the game will take place from a first-person perspective, where you can actually walk around the interior of your ship. This will allow you to take on the role of the pilot, the engineer, or the co-pilot. Now, in principle, it seems that the functionality here will be very similar to how Star Trek Bridge Crew works. If you actually played that, it's a brilliant concept, and when players effectively work together, it can make for some wonderful experiences. Now the co-pilot tools here you can see on the screen. The co-pilot's responsible for all the sensors, and they will be relaying this information back to the pilot. And the pilot, quite naturally, will be responsible for piloting these large vessels, and it will be their job to relay the information to the crew, giving them requests for what might be needed. And the other of these roles is the engineer. Now the engineer has access to a top-down view of the ship through one of the control panels, and from here pretty much all the important parts, all the important modules and functions of the ship can actually be accessed and changed and controlled. Further, this engineering panel offers overlays, and these will give all the information about the ship that the engineer actually needs. Now over on the developer's YouTube channel there's a whole bunch of videos, and a few of them go into extreme detail on all of these roles, basically offering insight into how they work and the development decisions that have been made, as well as actually demonstrating them in action. And further to that, there's also a around about 15-minute video demonstrating a walkthrough of the current alpha build. And again, all the links for those can be found in the video description. Now there's also a number of other things that are worth talking about very briefly. One of these of course is ship-to-ship combat. That's going to be a big part of the game. Although that said, it's not currently a part of this build in the alpha. It's something that's coming a little further down the line. One thing that is in this build though is the ability to fly a drone through space, and this will allow you to get into areas that would be much harder to reach in your larger full-sized ship. I'm also hoping that at some point there'll be some first-person combat involved, although I haven't seen much in the way of that actually being mentioned. But talking about the first-person aspects here, it will of course be possible to walk around the ship and actually put out fires and repair the ship as it needs repairing, as well as to interact with the various other functions around the ship. And of course, what would a space game with the ability to walk around be without also having the ability to go EVA? So that is also a function here in the game. So all in all then, HyperSpace is certainly shaping up to be a very interesting game. How HyperSpace launches and when it launches still seem to be questions that are very much in the air, but for now at least it's going to be very interesting to track the progress of this one. So if you're even slightly interested in a game like this, do check out the links below and download the demo for yourself. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.